ACC Season 8. We are live today in Zolder for what is supposed to be technically the last round of the season. I mean, not technically, but according to the calendar, the last round of the season. But due to a few unfortunate difficulties in the game, we had to postpone 2 rounds. But anyway, round 10, according to the calendar, round 8, technicalities. And for the introductions, my name is theSSJassassin, Sir theSSJassassin, and I will be your streamer for the day. So unfortunately, we don't have any commentators for today, and to spare you the pain of listening to my commentary, I will be sticking solely to streaming. So for the most part, it will be a silent stream. So just sit back and watch the action as it unfolds. So lads, that's the end of our qualifying session. The pole setup for the 1 hour race after this is going to be Sai Prithvi, who set a lap of a 134.19, almost 134.2, followed by FIFA Kanak, who is exactly a tenth away, sitting in P2. Tanish Agarwal, who was unfortunately impeded by the spun out car of Supreme Kai earlier, is sitting in P3 right now. He probably had another 2-3 tenths on that lap, but maybe he's got he's got another opportunity during the race. He's got an entire hour long of an opportunity after all, and
alright, conditions are wet.
Yep, the race grid has loaded in, and followed by Tegus 1 in P4, Starmax Lord, Ninja 0, Baldi, Pururav Goda, and Iceman leading the AM class in P9, followed by Boring Bong, P10, Shawshank, P11, Deepakraj. A shocking actually entry in P12 in the pro class, followed by AJ Sam, who's returning after quite few rounds in P13. Parth 11, P14, Faizan, Dark Knight, Vicious, Supreme Kai, Octavian, Fuzzy Dunlop, and Nick are the last few drivers who've set their laps. Mist, Charles Leclerc, and Byred haven't set any valid laps, so they will be starting dead last. And we have a minute left for the race to start, so yeah, I'll just go into mute again.
Seconds. Green light, go, go, go.
Okay, I have to step in here. I am at an utter loss for words as to what happened. You can see in the back, Shawshank is still busy kissing the front of, I think that's Supreme Kai. Now he's backed into the truck and he's got extensive amount of front bonnet damage as there's another McLaren approaching, and yep, he decides to call it quits and goes back to pits. Oh, apologies for that, viewers. The 3 of you or 4 of you who are watching. I kind of missed the starting of the chain of incidents. I think it was out of 1, 2, 3, 4 for the Hail Mary chicane. So there was some incident that set off the whole chain of crashes there. So yeah, I'll try to show it on replay whenever we get a small break on stream when there's no action. That was Dark Knight just casually turning in on Ninja like he didn't even exist there, and fortunately Dark Knight is the one, the perpetrator of the incident, who came out worse from that, so he'll have a lot of places picking up to do himself. Going on to the front of the grid, Danish still sticking quite close to the back of Sai Tarun. Only 3 tenths behind him at the moment. Meanwhile, FIFA Kanak has fled off into the distance, almost capping Sai Tarun by 1.9 seconds. 1.5 seconds now the exit of this corner. So yeah, I think provided he doesn't make any mistakes. Oh, there we go. Plural of Goda and Tegas were going side by side into that corner, and I think what's happening? I'm not sure what that was. Anyway, I think Purur of Goda just managed to. Okay, there's some glitch going on here. You guys are seeing the camera awkwardly shift into the pit. So Purur of Goda made a move down the inside. I think it's one in that corner. So he's got that one place more on him. Yeah, a lot of shuffling of the grid here due to the crash in the beginning of the race as well as, and there is an outright disqualification for someone. That's Charles Leclerc, who, okay, I wonder what happened to him though. It's a straight up disqualification. Not sure why he got it. Yeah, we have to get the stewards to put in a word on that. Maybe if they decide to be a little more graceful and step into the comms room here. Yeah. For now, the grid still stands as of from the same as the last lap. So Danish still 3 tenths behind as he was looking to make peeking down the inside of Sai Prithvi there. So Sai Prithvi clearly struggling today. Although he is maintaining the same gap to FIFA Kanak as from the last lap, but Danish looking very antsy, trying to look for a clear-cut move, but he's not able to find one so far. Not long before an opening comes up and Danish decides to bounce on it, but yeah, the winner of the last weekend's race, I'm pretty sure he's got a lot of work to do to get to the lead. But there's also one glaring weakness of Danish, and that is that he is very prone to mistakes. And seeing that it's a wet race, he better make sure that he bumps up those traction control settings so that he avoids a spin. So the rest of the grid has gapped each other by quite a bit, except for these dunces sitting in the pit lane here. As we've got yellow flags by car number 61, and that was Iceman. It's quite sad for him really, because he started I think P9 and now he's finding himself all the way in the back of the grid. Probably got caught up in a few incidents, or maybe he made a mistake or two here or there. But yes, it's a 1 hour long race, and he has to count all the mistakes being made by the drivers out front for him to make up any positions later on. But otherwise, I don't see him making it any further up the grid. Meanwhile, Tanish even more close to Sai Prithvi, starting of this lap, but now the gap has settled, and FIFA Canuck seems like he's made a mistake, because the gap has now come down to less than a second. So these three drivers are going to be, it's going to be a three-way fight now for Pre-1 eventually, provided nothing of the sort that you saw earlier happens. Danish sticking very close to the back of Sai Prithvi, unless he decides to go for a send into the Hail Mary chicane. I don't think anything's happening. Yes, Danish being the wiser driver that he is, decides not to, and waits for a clear-cut opportunity. Meanwhile, Ninja Zero seems to have made a move down the inside of Vicious, which is taking a trip into the gravel trap there briefly. And yeah, somehow, luckily, makes sure not to make sure that he doesn't spin out his car. And Parth also decides that he wants to follow the footsteps of Vicious, but as you saw there, he also had a little adventure in the gravel and safely makes his way back onto the tarmac. And we already have blue flag cars, so not sure who that is. I think that was Nick 0095576. Unless he wants any chicks to contact him, he should actually. Man, I lost for words. I tried to come up with something. Utter fail. Vicious Gaming drops another position as they round up into the last chicane for the lap, for the main straight. Parth, also the driver in front of him, seems to be struggling quite a bit as he misses the apex for that first left-hander, quite a margin. Parth trying to look down the inside, probably trying to locate the brake marker. That's never mind. Sorry, that was Vicious. So Vicious actually a rookie in the ACC scene. I think he is playing on a controller, so it's actually quite a decent performance put on by him so far, especially considering that he's sitting in P9, and I think this should be his second race in ACC, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, a decent performance so far by Vicious today. And as we near the 20% mark for the race time, these are our standings so far. So FIFA Canucks took the lead of the race. The first lap itself had a very good start, very good launch, and followed by Sai Prithvi, who looked like he had a bad start, obviously. Now in P2, 4 tenths behind FIFA Canuck, followed by Tanish, sitting in P3 at 7 tenths at the moment behind Sai Prithvi. Pururav Gowda, who looked like he had made up a few positions in the start himself, is now in P4, followed by Tegas1 in P5 and AJ Sam in P6. Ninja Zero in P7 and Parth, now the leading AM class driver, taking over the mantle of Iceman, who's currently in P19 and being trailed by Starmax Lord. So yeah, now that we're on these two, I think I think we're going to be having quite a cat fight over here, seeing that these two are very close friends in real life. I don't think Iceman is going to be giving him any courtesy whatsoever. He's, in spite of him being a lap car, I think he's going to give it his all to slow down Starmax Lord. as much as he can. So I think that is quite bluntly working, as you just saw the Starmax Flood missing the apex by a country mile. Yeah, let's just hope that nothing bad comes of it, as Starmax Lord puts 2 wheels in the gravel there. So yeah, he's definitely losing a lot of time. Hopefully he doesn't have any damage. Yeah. Pray that he doesn't. So while these gents, these wonderful gents here in the front are battling, let's just take a quick look at the replay of what happened in, I think that was lap 3. Let's toggle the HUD real quick. Interesting, I can't seem to find the oh, there we go. So it was the contact between Iceman and oh, never mind, it happened much before. I think it was Boring Bomb. Oh yeah, there it is. So Boring Bong had, so it was all started by the contact between Boring Bong and Ninja Zero. So Boring Bong taps him in the back. Thought he actually made it out, but then Iceman just goes head on into him, and the cars trailing behind just couldn't have enough time to avoid the stranded car of Boring Bong. So that's what set off the whole chain of crashes, and that that was spectacular. Hold on, let me take a quick look at that. There we go. So Supreme Kai is still stranded in the. Oh, he decides. Did he just? I think he decided to reverse into the. I don't know. Probably a bit of netcode there, as it looked like. I think Charles Leclerc, was it? Not sure who that's. McLaren. That's Octavian. No, I'm sorry, that was not Octavian. So we got Charles Leclerc here. Oh, that's Bioride. Okay. Oh yeah, that's definitely netcode. I can't really blame it on Supreme Kai, although he was trying to reverse back into the racing line. But Bioride, like a smooth operator, managed to still keep his cars facing the front of the managed to keep his car facing forward. So yeah, at least he didn't end up as badly as we thought. Meanwhile, Stanish has lost out by quite a bit now. He's dropped by almost, more than a second now. 1.2 seconds at that moment. So Sai Prithvi has caught up to FIFA just less than 10th between these two drivers. Can expect something to happen in the upcoming few laps. yeah, I have to step in here once again. So it's like we would just like to narrate what we just saw here. So Sai Prithvi has been heated off by a lap simply Whitey into the gravel. So now that's cost Sai Prithvi to drop 2 positions, almost a second of gap that he's lost now. So that basically gifted FIFA Kanak the lead of the race. And now simply still not learning from that mistake. He's now still not giving way to the leading cars, still blocking the way. Whereas we just saw Starmax Lord and who's that's Shawshank and Starmax Lord casually having a casual conversation while they're just sitting off the track, having a nice cup of tea in the rain, and probably a suta or two. As now we're back into the front of the pack as Simply Whitey is still not giving way to the leading cars. Boring Bong has got a drive-through and now he is now serving it in pits. So Sai Prithvi is probably really annoyed right now, Sai Prithvi, and I think that's Danish. Yeah, Danish has managed to make his way through. Sai Prithvi getting extreme PTSD here as it was in this very corner in the last lap that he just got heated off by that fat Nissan of Simply Whitey. As Simply Whitey briefly loses the rear there and just to keep his car on the track. Yeah, he did come he'll come worse off of it. So now FIFA Kanak has managed to build up a gap of 1.3 seconds. So going back on to the incident earlier, I think it's going to be very harshly, very strictly looked at by the stewards, as Simply Whitey really didn't need to. I mean, even if according to the ACC rules, as from what I've heard, the lap car doesn't have to give way to a leading car, but even then, going so far as to literally bump him off the track. So yeah, I think that's going to be very harshly looked at by the students. Interesting scenes going on here as Boring Bong's decided that he needs a little bit of ballast, so he's taken on that. He's now carrying that Kronos board, I guess. Maybe if he it's almost off of him. Never mind, he didn't need the ballast after all. As Boring Tegis one was it? He decides to send it down the inside into that corner over there. So. With that extra bit of ballast came a loss of aerodynamic downforce. So yeah, I don't want to get too techie-wacky into it. As that was Starmax Slot aggressively closing down that gap on Boring Bong. So he didn't want to have any of it. As never mind. I think I spoke too soon that as Starmax Slot decides that he wants to cut some grass and just goes off the track. Meanwhile, back in the front of the grid, we got still pretty much the same status quo. Danish gap between these this pack of drivers separated by just 1 second. we're now 3/4 of the way into the race, and the order in the front of the pack has still not changed after that incident with Simply YTS. Puru Goda having a slight moment of lag. And meantime, Sai Prithvi has come into the pits to serve his mandatory pit stop. Not really sure why these. Actually, it's not just Sai Prithvi because Tanish and FIFA Karnaka as well haven't served their pit stops until now when Sai Prithvi just entered the pits. So I'm assuming that it's because the track is drying up because there's no rain at the moment as Sai Prithvi is exiting the pit lane. Not really experienced enough to judge whether Sai Prithvi is on a set of slick tires or wet weather tires, but FIFA Kanak and Danish are still yet to pit, so this might be a game changer since Sai Prithvi with those fresher tires might have an advantage as Danish also goes into the pits now for his mandatory pit stop. You really hope that he didn't pick up a drive-through penalty there because it briefly looked like he was speeding in. So now FIFA Kanak, the only driver in that top 3 pack yet to pit, and considering the rest of the grid, Parth and I believe it's only Tanish and Parth who are yet to serve their mandatory pit stops. That's Danish, Bioride with the drive-through, and then of course we got AJ Sam, who's also has to serve his mandatory pit stop. So yep, these 4 drivers out remaining from the 4 drivers out of the remaining 21 drivers have to serve a pit stop. So now we're almost at just 2.5 minutes away from that 10-minute mark as Octavian, another driver, picks up a drive-through penalty. Sai Prithvi has managed to beat Tanish in the pit lane as Tanish gets disqualified. Tanish, after driving for nearly 50 minutes, has got a sudden disqualification. Once again, I'm not really sure how the game works and what rule Tanish might have broken to actually get outright disqualified, but that just sums up the bad luck that Tanish has in pretty much IRC in the last few seasons, except for that outlier of that one win earlier last weekend or so. Yeah, it's quite disappointing to see Tanish getting a DSQ now of all time. So yeah, that basically gifts P2 to Sai Prithvi. I mean, he already had the P2 in his bag, considering that he had a significant tire advantage since he pitted earlier. But there was a bunch of lap cars there fighting for position, so clearly no respect for blue flags in Zolder today, especially by the likes of Iceman and Supreme Guy. Supreme Guy seems to be impeding every single driver, leading driver that comes behind him. And now it's Baldy, luckily, who's only 9 seconds, who's 9 seconds away from him, so they're relatively safe at the moment. Apologies for that. Switch that. So yep, as AJ Sam comes into the pit lane to serve his mandatory pit stop, so FIFA Kanak and Parth 11, the only drivers apart from AJ Sam yet to serve their mandatory pit stops. So that put him though? So he's going to get overtaken by Parth 11, who is actually in contention for a podium, but no, yeah, he has to serve a pit stop, so it's still there. That will probably put him behind AJ Sam actually, or maybe even further below, but yeah, I'd have to actually see during when Parth goes into the pit lane. But yeah, not long before he does, including FIFA Kanak, because yeah, he's just making his way into sector 1, I believe, as he's getting impeded again by a blue flagged Bioride. FIFA Kanak impatiently flashes his lights to tell Bioride to get the hell out of his way, but once again, clearly no respect for blue flags being shown today, as Bioride finally gets out of the way after impeding him quite sufficiently enough. Probably lost half a second to 1 second in that whole ordeal, as FIFA Kanak still not going into the pits. So yeah, interesting to see what he does with 9 minutes left in this race. Finally pulls into the pit stop. I think the only driver in this entire pack. No, never mind. Parth is still still driving on those flying set of tires. So yeah, just over 6 minutes left. Probably. Should be in the whereabouts of 4 laps left on the race. So yep, he's got 3 laps before he has to pit for a fresh set of tires. So FIFA Kanak has been overtaken by Sai Tarun. So yeah, that's probably because he stayed out a bit too long on those very old set of tires. Being an F1 driver, I can only talk in the context of F1 tires. So the tire advantage, the undercut in F1 is pretty significant, but I'm not really sure how it works in ACC. But then I'd say it's kind of common sense to know that if as Deepakraj takes an excursion of track into the asphalt. So yeah, it's pretty much should be common sense to know that tires that have been driven around for 50 minutes should be significantly more worn down, should have significantly less performance than a fresh set of tires. And seeing that the track is quite dry today, dry at the moment, I think FIFA could have taken a bet to go on a set of slicks. Can't really see from this angle due to these shadows. Yeah, I do see a bit of dampness on the track. Just a few, not really sure if it's just patches of tar or if it's water. Yeah, I mean there is a bit of dampness out of the track, but then yeah, there are some parts of the track which are dry enough. So I assume that the slick tires are the tires to go on for the most part. I think the racing line itself is dry enough. But yeah, FIFA doesn't seem to be making any inroads into taking back the lead. So yeah, with 4 minutes left in this race, I think yeah, Sai Tarun has this win in the bag. In spite of all that's happened to him, not just that incident with Simply Whitey, but then he was impeded by a lot of cars. But I mean, it's probably owed to the nature of the circuit. It's pretty much Imola just in Netherlands. The track is probably I'd say 20 feet, 30 feet wide. So it's not much room. There's not much room for blue flag cars to give way for the lead cars. Yeah, probably because of that, as Supreme Kai picks up a drive-through penalty in the tight stages of the race. Quite unfortunate for him, really. As FIFA now within 2 seconds, earlier he was 2.4 seconds behind him. But yeah, has managed to reduce the deficit, but I don't think it might be enough. Or maybe I spoke too soon. No. 3 minutes left, so that's surely just 2 laps of racing left. Yeah, he's got 2 laps, less than 2 laps of FIFA to try to make up for that lead, the lead that he lost. Yeah, you could clearly see that he's not doing too well in that regard. Just put his wheel into the gravel then. So yeah, Sai Tarun for now looks like a clear winner for the race today. Approaching what looks like to be the last lap of the race, as we just saw Purura Gowda, who's having quite nothing today, going off into the grass, into the gravel. So quite unlikely of him actually. Purura Gowda, he was blazing fast in the beginning of the season. Putting pole laps which were miles off of them. We just saw 2 cars having an outing there. I think that was Bioride and probably Faizan. Not really sure. As Bioride and these 2 cars. Faizan almost pushing Purura Gowda into the grass there. So Faizan, sorry, that was Bioride. Okay, sincere apologies. That was Bioride and Faizan. Purura Gowda was much further up ahead as yeah, a literal WWE wrestling match with these 2, not holding back any punches whatsoever, as the race leader Sai Tarun has approached the last line. As this FIFA Kanak and Sai Tarun were very close at the end there.
Leaders on final
never
lap
mind.
now.
This we've got one more lap of racing left. So, and it has started to rain too. So yeah, it's all gone to hell here. I mean, if provided that these two drivers are still on slick tires, as the contact between these two drivers once again, as if Sai Prithvi seems to have gone off a little wide there for his liking. Sphere for Kanan manages to pull ahead out of turn 4, but now we are approaching the Hail Mary chicane. No one decides to, Sai Prithvi does not decide to go, just send it into it, but clearly as the Mercedes is the superior car, having the higher ride height, he can go all out there in that chicane. That was pretty close. I think there was a little bit of contact between those two drivers. As Sai Prithvi for Kanak was forced off the track. It looked like he was forced off the track by a bump from the back by Sai Prithvi. Just over a few corners left to go. As FIFA Kanak decides to go for another set, dips his wheels into that slight wet patch here. Sai Prithvi trying to go for a switchback. Goes completely onto the grass. FIFA Kanak still up ahead. He'll have the inside line for the next corner. But out of the exit of this chicane, it will probably be Sai Prithvi's corner as both drivers losing their rear. It will be a photo finish across the line as it will just be a separating these two cars as what a mighty battle that FIFA Kanak has won here in Zolder today. What a performance, my friends, what a performance. Meanwhile, in the back grid, we got Bayride and Faizan still having, I think, their WWE match. Never mind, that was Ninja Zero who was trailing Bayride. Ninja Zero P6, in spite of that incident earlier with Boring Bomb, has managed to salvage most of this race. We're moving on to the podium sitters. Tag is 1 is currently in P3, quite a bit off of AJ Sam actually, so he will cross the line to finish P3, followed by AJ Sam who's approaching the final chicane in P4 at the moment. Pururav Gowda having a completely off day, today, will finish P5, followed by Ninja Zero. An excellent drive from him for the most part today, and he will finish P6. Baldy has crossed the line to finish P7, Parth the lead AM class driver for the day. A brilliant performance by him as well, finishing P8. Dark Knight P9 and Vicious Gaming to round off the top 10. So another brilliant performance. Another special mention for Vicious to finish, although he was 2 laps behind the race leaders, managed to finish in P10 and P3 in the AM class podium. So considering that he is an ACC rookie, it is quite a brilliant performance by him. Deepakraj and Star Max Lord having an off day as well today, finished P11 and P12, followed by Fuzzy Dunlop in P13. Boring Bong, after causing all those incidents, that chain of incidents actually, which started the race, finishes P14. Iceman in P15, Nick in P16, Faizan P17, Bayride P18, Supreme Kai P19. Octavian to round off the top 20. Shawshank in P21, Mist in P22, and Danish Agarwal, after quite a shocking and disappointing disqualification, will get P23. And Charles was disqualified right in the beginning of the race.
Green light, give it all you can.
So that brings us to the end of this round 10 according to the calendar once again. It was quite a topsy-turvy race today. No respect for blue flags whatsoever, a lot of chaos. But ultimately it was fun to watch. But fret not, we've still got 2 postponed races left, which are, I believe, Watkins Glen. 1 second, let me just quickly go through the calendar. No, it's actually I think yeah, it is actually Watkins Glen and Kota. So yeah, Watkins Glen another 1 hour endurance race, a double points race, and Kota a 2 race session, if I may say so. So yeah, we will be back next weekend for I think Kota, which is according to the calendar the preceding round, and I think we will be having the final round in Watkins Glen on the 15th. So yeah, that's it for me. This is Sir SSJ Assassin, your streamer slash part-time commentator for the day, signing off. Wishing you a good night and sweet dreams.